week. Chef Nikki here, back with another episode of Nikki Talks Food. So today we're gonna make chocolate eclairs, and to make chocolate eclairs, first we have to make pate choux. And pate choux tends to be really difficult for people to do, so I wanted to show you guys my technique because I have a fail-safe technique that will make perfect pate choux every single time, and you can use this dough for a lot of different things like beignets. We're gonna make chocolate eclairs. You can fry them and make churros and add cinnamon. Mix them with mashed potatoes and fry those and make little, what are those things called? They are called potatoes dauphine. Those are fancy. So let's get started. I'm gonna link the recipe in the description. So yeah, there's the recipe. All right, so pate choux is something that we cook twice. So we're gonna put 4 ounces of water and 4 ounces of milk. You can use all water if you want. You can use all milk if you want. The only difference that it will make is that you will yield a crispier crust if you use all water. If you use all milk, it'll be very tender. But sometimes that means that your pate choux will collapse, and so I prefer to do half water, half milk. I'm gonna put an entire stick of butter, and this is this is what we call a baker's roux. We're just gonna melt this over a medium heat. Half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar. All right, so now in goes our flour once the butter is melted. And we're gonna stir that. Take it off the heat. And then once it gets clumpy, I always switch to a rubber spatula. And we just kind of want to knock it around. It's going to start to look like Play-Doh. It's coming apart from the side. See, it's not really sticking anymore. So now we're just going to move it on to the bowl, and I'm just going to knock out some of the steam. Well, we just got to let it cool, baby. You can see the steam is kind of like rising like that. I'm just gonna knock it around to get the steam out, because I'm gonna start adding eggs. And eggs is different every time. You can't go by what the recipe says. So if the recipe says 5 eggs, crack 4 eggs. And I'm gonna show you a visual test you can use that tells you exactly how many eggs you need and when to stop. This recipe calls for 5 eggs. I'm gonna crack 4 eggs. Might not even need 4. Maybe I'll just do 3 and see from there, because sometimes it's way different than what you think. And I'm gonna do this by hand. You can use a mixer with a paddle attachment, but I'm gonna do this by hand. All right, 1 egg at a time, and I'm just gonna blop one in. Boom. Ooh, shoot, man. Yeah, that was it. That was 1 egg. Okay, there's our 3rd egg. Let's do our test. So our test is we take it with 2 fingers. So 2 fingers, and we put the little bit of the pate choux in between 2 fingers and see if it makes a little string in between. So this is sticking to 1 finger. I know I need another egg. Close. Okay, do our test. And now you can see the difference. We're actually stringing between 2 fingers. That means it's pipeable and there's enough eggs, so we're gonna stop. So that's only 4 eggs. Here's another little tricky poo. I love these quart containers. I put all kinds of stuff in them. They're like the perfect size to measure. That's a side point. But what I use it for my pastry bag is I set it inside. And I have a star tip inside the bag. You don't need a coupler for all you fancy dancies out there. And now I'm going to be able to use both hands. It's an Ani DeFranco song. All right, here we go. So here's another, we're full of tricks here today. So I'm gonna, if you're using parchment paper, or even if you're using a Silpad or a silicone baking sheet, which those are great, you gotta wash them, I take a little bit of the choux paste and I pipe it into the corners, so that because I have a convection oven, I have air circulating around my oven, and what happens is the paper or the silicone baking sheet will fly all over the place. So this This acts like glue. We're gonna take a wet finger and this is rife with, and we're just gonna tap the little tips down. Still. That's all. Okay, so now these are going into a 400-degree convection oven for 10 minutes. Then I'm gonna drop the heat to 350 for about 20 minutes. I'm looking for strong houses. I don't want to stop this process too early, because what'll happen is they'll look great in the oven, and when I take them out, they'll deflate. So you have to make sure that you cook them and bake them. It's all about the bake. You gotta make sure that you bake them so that they're nice and crispy looking, and be very, very sure that the inside is dried out. If you open the oven too early, they will collapse, so no peeking. No peeking. No peeking. There they go. Okay, here's why they're called patisserie, because it looks like a little cabbage. Here's our eclairs. So they are long, and notice they're very brown, because if they're where it cracks right there, if it's too blonde, you know it's gonna, as soon as the steam goes away and you take them out of the oven, you go, oh, they're pretty, and then the steam goes away and then they collapse on themselves. So you want strong houses. Don't be afraid to bake these. You'll see little beads of sweat on them while they're baking. When those dry, it's pretty much done. Now onto our pastry cream. Okay, so we have 3/4 of a cup of sugar right here, and I'm gonna put half of it into this bowl. The other half I'm saving for the top of my, I'll tell you later. And then I have, what is this, 1/3 of a cup of cornstarch. And that's what's gonna thicken our pastry cream. And we're gonna whisk these two things together. And a lot of recipes don't tell you to do this, but if you don't start it out this way, you will have lumps. And now we're gonna do 5 egg yolks. So we have 16 ounces of milk. I'm using whole milk, and we're just gonna bring that up. I'm gonna use the rest of that sugar that I was saving, and I'm gonna sprinkle it over the top. And what that's gonna do, it's just like a layer of insulation. So this is a labor of love. And I'm gonna take a ladle. I always use a ladle when I temper custards. This is a stirred custard, and I put a little bit in the bowl, and I just gently bring the temperature to meet the temperature of the milk. And now we're going to put our egg mixture back into our pot. You want it just to boil slightly, and then take it off the heat, because you have to let it boil so that you cook the starchiness out. Now the last thing we want to add to this pastry cream is a couple of tablespoons of butter. 2 tablespoons, oops, does that have paper on it? No, it doesn't. And we're gonna need vanilla extract. I always put it in at the end, otherwise it'll burn off. So I have an ice bath, and I have a clean bowl, and I'm gonna set that over the top there, and we are gonna cool it very quickly so we can get it into our pastry bag, so we can get this stuff into our eclairs. The third element to making a perfect chocolate eclair is the chocolate. So we're gonna make a silky chocolate ganache. So I have a cup of whole milk. No, that's not what I have. I have a cup of heavy cream, 2 more tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. And we're just over like a medium heat. I'm not trying to burn this cream. We're just trying to get it to where it will melt the chocolate. I have 2 cups of good chocolate. You can use chocolate chips. And there it is, the perfect chocolate eclair. Oh my God. Why? Thank Thanks for watching, guys. If you like my show, don't forget to subscribe, hit the little bell so you know when I'm posting again. As always, leave a comment down below. I want to thank you guys. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you guys. We've built this amazing little food community where we just geek out over stuff, and I love y'all, and I appreciate every one of you for subscribing. So thanks for watching. You can order my pro seasoning at chefnikki.net. That's Nikki with 2 Ks, and I'll put the link right here.